Hello there, and welcome to Effective Evolution. And with this particular episode, we're going to look at Ganymede in the infrared. And there are many structures you can discern just with the initial panorama. And after using some probing techniques, you can come up with some more detail. It is quite a change from the large array of Mars panoramas that we've been going over to date, and you'll definitely find it interesting and a nice switch from the ordinary. And after that, we'll get to a region that we've gone over before, particularly with the ESPN's panorama, which is area 053408 and 2135. So we'll just get more familiar with some of the areas that we already explored. And let's get right to it again. Another episode, we're changing phases for a few moments, and we're going to get more familiar with this infrared shot of Ganymede. And right away, we'll just experiment with the different angles of viewing this. And for example, we could zoom in a bit at the start. And if you look very carefully at this, you can see that there are some shapes to consider. And for example, right over here, this looks like an impact crater, but there is some type of large hole there. And I mean, there are many holes all over the place, but this is very interesting. At the top here, there appears to be some leveled structures, i.e., rising off of the surface. And there are some symmetrical designs here, buildings and the like. And we'll just explore that a bit more, if we may. So we just rotate it a bit, and it's a little easier to see things if you just change the angle sometimes. And of course, Ganymede is a moon of Jupiter. For all you trivia enthusiasts. And as mentioned, there are some prominent areas to consider. And of course, there are many tools that we can use, and we'll get right to that. Zooming in a bit more first. You could see some structures over here. There's that prominent crater gap or whatnot into the surface. And structures right along this part here and here, triangular structure here, and whatnot. Now the areas of prominence per se would be right around here. And this particular shot is using the contrast brightness and exposure tool. And as you could determine, there are some structures here. These are three-dimensional triangular shaped objects or the like. You can see some curves in here as well. It looks like a hook, and here as well, a curve on the other side. And you're welcome to explore this with your imagination, of course. Over here, there seems to be some rectangular structures there as well. And you can guess or imagine or speculate or whatnot that they could be crafts or buildings. And over here, there's a whole complex of structures, as you could discern just by letting your eyes adjust to this. And if you have a gander over here as well, you can see that area that seems to have levels rising off of the surface of Ganymede. And we'll just zoom in a bit more. And notice also we rotated this a bit more to get another particular view or another angle of viewing that. Without getting too pixelated, of course, you can just zoom in again on those areas. Very ordered design across these different areas. Very interesting, you must admit. And with the contrast and brightness tool and the dodge burn tool as well, you can still see those structures. This is a whole complex, a whole region of intricate symmetrical objects, designs, and the like. And at the top here on this side, you can see that there is some type of leveled structure there as well. In here, there seems to be some triangular structures. They could be rising off of the surface. And as you go along the top here, you can see that it's not an exactly perfect circular structure or boundary. So that is a clue, a hint that there is some civilized architecture being built here, or that has been built here. And here's that area. Seems to be, I don't want to say an impact crater, but that's what it looks like. And not only that, but it seems to be more than that. It seems to be inviting exploration into that vicinity. It definitely looks like there is an entrance or a circular cavity inviting you to go into that part of the surface of Ganymede. Very, very intriguing, you must admit. And with the lighting gradient tool, you could discern those structures again, of course. And you can look over here, it seems to be a curved structure there, an arch structure and whatnot. And over here as well, here are those triangular shaped structures, those structures that seem to be rising off of the ground or surface of Ganymede. There seems to be some type of column or whatnot that's elevating this side of the structure level of Ganymede or whatnot. Very interesting, you must admit. And now we'll switch over to a familiar area. We went over this area just a while ago, not too long ago actually, a few weeks ago or whatnot. And this is the European Space Probe's panorama and it's 053-408-2135. And we're going to look at some of those craters we went over before, particularly here and here. And of course, some attention was brought to this area already as well. The shapes that are in that particular area. Hopefully the familiarity will make this more interesting. Now, particularly, it would be this area here. As we mentioned, there does seem to be some very spurious looking wall cavities here, and structures that resemble a giant staircase. This could be some type of craft or building. And this cavity over here as well, a crater, quote, or whatnot, seems to have some type of rectangular structure and an additional attachment rising to the top of this wall. And in this other side of the crater, there seems to be an interesting object in here. And we'll explore that as well. And this particular area is also interesting, simply because there seems to be a structure in here. Is it a machine? Is it a type of pipe structure? Is it mining equipment? What could it be? It's very intriguing as well. Now here it is. And as you can see, after you use the brightness tool, the contrast brightness tool, and the dodge burning tool, I rotated this around, and you come up with this structure. It seems to have shadows and a straight design across here, and it seems to be hiding in this crater. Now, was that built naturally, or was it designed? It seems to be going around like this. Very interesting. And this brings out some more of the detail, of course. And getting back to our other friend, the area with the peculiar wall structures and objects inside of them. Now, as pointed out, in this area here, this crater over here or whatnot, quote, there seems to be some type of structure in here that looks very unusual. Is this mining equipment as well? Or is it a building? You must use your imagination on that. And here is that structure that seems to be some type of building and craft or whatnot. And this is using the chroma hue saturation technique as well as the dodge burn technique. And by brightening up the area, you can see how there are some shadows that are brought out, which would be indicative of a pre-planned walled structure or whatnot. And there is that entrance way or whatnot, and this staircase looking like design structure. And please use your own speculation. and come up with your own ideas. There's lots of structures here. There seems to be curved structure that's just coming up to this side of the wall. There seems to be oval arch-shaped structures in this area as well. Very fascinating, you must admit. And these were the areas that we just looked at. And of course, we went over this just a while ago, and we looked at some other structures as well. So it just adds to the enjoyment. And with the dodge burn tool, you can see that even at another angle, you can discern that building-like structure or craft-like structure or whatnot. And there's that other structure in the other crater. It seems to have connected curving devices attached to this main part that's coming up off of the surface. Very intriguing, you must admit. And you can see the wall structures, shadows. This whole assemblage here is very interesting. By using the various techniques, you can get some more detail to pop out and make themselves more noticeable to your focus. Here's another interesting area as well. Just inside of this quote crater as well. And here's another structure that just popped up after using the dodge burn technique. Now, of course, these are just a few. There are many, many other areas to explore. Keep on your exploration, and until next time, Ninian saying thank you for your time. And with some finality for this particular scenario, the views of Ganymede and the probing techniques definitely make us more familiar with some of the designs that are apparent on the surface of Ganymede, which is a moon of Jupiter, of course. And it's very interesting just to let your eyes adjust to that particular panorama. And after that, getting even more familiar with some previous regions that we explored with the ESPN's 053408 and 2135 region. And with the same methodology, we can come up with some very interesting prominent areas that are there. And this is definitely a joy to go over these familiar areas and relatively recent areas, and it just adds to the fun. And thank you once again for your interest and your time. Till next time.